What is going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 182 of Littleroot Lessons. As always, I'm your host, Carter Noble, joined by our fantastic co-host, Carl Wilkin. What's up, dude?
Not a whole lot. We've got some interesting news coming out of the competitive side of the VGC, TCG, all that jazz stuff. We know when our ICs are going to be now, which
Yeah,
is
all
exciting.
four of them. We know
No, three.
about, but Carl,
Only three.
there's four ICs. What are you talking about?
So we'll talk about it when we get to it, but they removed OCIC due to I'm going to say
Pick
more
a
so
reason.
just because money and not really wanting like everybody to take their time to go out to Australia to go play an event. It traveling to Australia is already probably hard enough for the majority of the player base. The fact that it's so far away, it's surrounded by oceans, so you have to fly. Like there's no driving or traveling or anything like that, like you would go to for NAIC, EUIC for people in Europe, stuff like that. So I would imagine in the near future that we probably see the removal of LAIC as well. That probably goes the way of the Dodo as well in the next coming years. And they might go to doing two majors in each of the like two ICs in each EU and NA each year. I would not be surprised.
I'm surprised they don't like. I understand the idea of removing Oceania. I do. Like you said, it's a very hard place to get to, etc., etc. I'm kind of surprised they don't just move it to like Asia. Like I mean, just like I know that's it's weird to say that, but it's just like you have your North American, you have your European. Why not also just have like an Asian one?
But, so it's because they removed most of Asia from the Oceania bracket.
Yeah.
Like they removed APAC. We're going on what 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
They removed APAC from the Pokemon Company International network of like hosting events and such, and I think Oceania is on its way out the door doing the same thing. It's probably going to be, hey, we're removing your really one big event a year that a lot of your players get qualified beat through, and you only have 3 regionals now, and so you're going to have to play a lot of locals and PCs, and eventually you're probably going to lose another regional, and you're going to have to really travel to go qualify, and eventually they just get pulled from the market.
Which it sucks, right? Like obviously removing events is not really what you want to do, but you and I coming from a Magic background, Carl, you have a cat in the box. I don't know if you know this.
I am well aware. No, she gets to be punished and put on camera.
You and I coming from a Magic background, this is not the first time we've seen events go away. WotC, it's. I don't know how much of it you actually followed now, but Grand Prix no longer exist. Like they just genuinely don't exist. And it went from a Grand Prix every other weekend essentially to 0 of them. And then you have event organizers like Star City Games that ran an event essentially every weekend for an entire year, and then went, this cost us so much money, we can't afford to do this again. Like we've seen it.
Hosting events is expensive.
It is absurdly expensive.
I would say the majority of like the Pokemon Company International's budget for events is just to make sure they can get venues for each event they want to hold.
And like, granted, when it came to like Star City, you were also shipping your entire warehouse essentially across the country every week or whatever.
Yeah.
Even though they're an East Coast based region, if it was Southern East Coast, that's still the length of the US they had to ship their entire setup for. And that's not including, that's just counting cards. That's not counting
Yeah.
the actual equipment to run the event.
Yeah.
And then you get like one of the first things that went were the West Coast events for Star City, and people are like, "Why aren't you doing this?" And they're like, "Do you know how much it costs to ship stuff to Denver?"
Yeah, it's like we can't just drive there. It's like we can't just take it ourselves. We have to send it weeks ahead of us before
like,
we ever get there.
Star City's out of Rhode Island, right?
No, Roanoke.
Oh, Virginia. That's correct. Like, how far is it from Virginia to Denver?
I would imagine at least probably 2,000 plus miles.
Let's see. Distance. 1,600.
Oh, it's only 16.
I'm very surprised by that. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it seems it's a little shorter than you think it is, I guess.
From Denver to Roanoke specifically is 1,500, 1,536, which is a 22.5-hour car ride.
Yeah, you're taking shifts in that one. You're either gonna be sleeping and swapping, or you're gonna be resting at some place. And...
Or you are throwing that on UPS and shipping it.
Or a plane. I imagine most of the times it was going to be on a plane, which gets extremely expensive extremely fast.
And granted, Star City Game is a small organizer, right? Compared to WotC. Now we're talking about...
we're talking about...
Pokemon, right? Like, we're talking about the most successful media franchise of all time. Like, which I understand wanting
they
to
don't
cut
even
corners.
Organize their events.
Yeah.
They have them contracted out to other organizations to do that for them.
Which is exactly what WotC did with GPs.
Yeah.
And then they went, nah, these are still too expensive. And like, I get it. It completely sucks.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know off the top of my head what the average number of like regionals is we get a year or previously, right?
I can probably check that really fast.
How many Pokemon regionals?
I know we have 12 for this season so far for NA. We have 12, and then there's 3 Oceania, I think 6 European, and then 1 Latin America.
So I am currently looking up 2018 because that was like the last actual year we had stuff, right? It was the last full year. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There were 20 regionals, 4 ICs. No special events listed here, but I'm sure, you know, obviously they were ran or whatever, but
yeah,
20 regionals is not bad. And how many did you say we have currently on the schedule?
I believe there's 12 NA, 3 Oceania, I think it's 6 European, and then 1 Latin America. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I think the correct number is 18 if I'm counting correctly. So, I mean, that's not far off. And what's funny is if you look at the actual event calendar on Pokemon's website, they have the Pokemon Oceania International Championships listed here.
Really?
Yes. What happens if I click this? Where does this send me if I click this link?
Probably nowhere.
Probably not. It doesn't exist. What happens if
you messed it all up?
Evidently.
Carter broke the internet. Sorry, guys.
Oh, I'm dumb. This is 2023. They don't have the 24 schedule up.
I'm about to say the 24 schedule.
Man, this seems really weird. I feel like I recognize a lot of these events, and I don't think any of these are right because we're not going to Fort Wayne again this year.
No, We are not going to Fort Wayne again.
If I did my math right, for 2013, there were like the 2013 season, there were 18 regionals. So like technically less. Also coming off the back end of a pandemic where people weren't wanting to, be interactive with each other.
We have 21 events this season for 2024.
And that is including
that is including stuff? No, not including the ICs. That's just the regionals.
Okay. So I don't know, man. It's weird to say that we have more events than we have historically, but they're also moving away from this one specific region. But again, I also understand it. Like, it sucks to see it happen, but there's end of the day, there's nothing that you and I can do. It would be a community as a whole causing a huge uproar for these. And I feel terrible for the people who, this was their one local big event a year,
Yeah.
Whereas us in the U.S., we have who knows how many regionals we can travel to. We have NAIC. We have bountiful number of events that we can like reasonably travel to. Reasonably, right? Like, without driving 22 hours across the country. But
I mean, for us personally, there's only one that's within like a day drive distance, and it's Peoria.
True. Yeah, we have Peoria.
Knoxville and Indy are both decently far enough.
Knoxville is not a terrible drive, coming from the guy who literally did it last year. It sucks. I would much rather fly, but I would also really like the idea of having my car and not having to rent a car for a week.
Yeah.
Granted, we also went for an entire week. So, again.
Same thing when we drove to Indianapolis last year. It's just like, we drove there because we wanted the car. We were going to be staying a week plus. And Indianapolis isn't the greatest about public transportation. It's there. It's just, it's not always accessible where you're at. So you kind of have to walk or get to the place where public transportation will pick you up. And where we were staying at just wasn't reasonable.
I will be the first to admit, down by the convention center down there in Knoxville, everything is walkable.
Oh yeah. Like once you're down there, it's great. But if you're not staying at the hotel there, you're going to have a car.
Which, we stayed about 10 minutes out, and it was really nice to go, all right, we're done with this part of the day. We can leave this behind.
Yep.
And, drive back to the hotel and do whatever. But, also at the same time, it sucked because it was like, all right, we'll meet you all in 10 minutes when we leave, when we get there, as opposed to, why don't you just walk across the street to our hotel or whatever. But
yeah, there's trade-offs.
Yeah,
like we were 15 minutes, I think, from the convention center in Indy. So it's just like if we wanted to go, we had to leave a little bit early because we didn't want to get stuck in the traffic around there. Because the way the convention center was set up, traffic was god awful terrible.
Oh,
there was multiple big events. There were multiple big events going on that weekend. Like, you could not get in unless you showed up a little early.
The last time I was in Indy was for I think it was a Star City event, and it was a large tournament, and on top of that, they had a volleyball event going on. So like, two of the main floors on the like two of the main places on the main floor were taken up by volleyball people. There was some other event going on as well. So like, 4 of the how many ever auditoriums or whatever are taken up that weekend. It was just it was an absolute madhouse.
They had some kind of cheer thing going on while I was up there.
Maybe that's what it was too. I remember volleyball, and I don't remember the other one, but I remember there was a lot of screaming kids running around.
It could also just be Pokemon. It's fine. But the trade-off for losing the OCIC is, it's fine. It's one less event for that region to play in, which does suck, but it's also going to save a lot of the money for like the people who are grinding really hard and trying to get play championship points and things like that. So like you don't have to travel that far now. Now it's just like Australia has their regionals. They're not going to have a whole lot of influx from outside people going to that event because it's just like that's what the ICs are, is like international championships. They expect people to travel to that, and for the regionals they don't expect a whole lot of outside business. So now I guess the regionals are a little bit more localized and I guess more friendly to OCIC.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see how the Pokemon Company handles Oceania's region in the future. But we also got updated prize pools and some more information about how the ICs are going to work in the future. I'm very excited to talk about this increase in prize pool payouts, especially for VGC, because it was TCG had a decent prize payout for ICs all the time. TCG always had a really good prize payout. And like VGC and Go were kind of just like, here's a couple thousand. It's fine. So now it's worth your time to go and take down this event. The TCG payout starts at $25,000 for first place for Masters, $7,000 for juniors and seniors. Finishing payout goes to top 64 at TCG with $2,000 as the minimum. So essentially, if you make the bracket stage or whatever, that's like top cut, I guess is what it's called. You'll immediately have $2,000 in your pocket, which is pretty good for going to an international championship.
Mm-hmm.
VGC starts at 15,000 for Masters or 5,000 for juniors and seniors, and then caps out at top 32 for 2,000, kind of the same way. And then Go starts at 5,000 and ends at top 25. Oh. Yeah, I don't get it.
Oh, okay.
And 5,000 to 400.
Okay. It took me a real hard second to figure out what you just said.
Starts out at 5,000 and ends at 400. Also looking at points payouts, 500 championship points for first place, 400 for second, 320 for third and fourth. I don't know why it's just not 300.
That would make
why
sense.
It's just not a round number. 250 for 5th through 8th, 200 for 9th through 16th, and so on and so forth down the line, tumbles down. If you somehow get to 1,024 players, 2,046 players, the first like half the event will get 50 CP. If you somehow get to that absurd number.
Okay. I can handle that.
TCG is the only event that ever gets that big, right? Like,
I would be surprised.
1,000 players is a lot of people. I would be very
surprised if we hit those numbers.
I mean, Indianapolis had over 1,000 TCG players.
Yeah, I meant for VGC. What's the largest we've ever had?
It's like 700 something, 800 something. I don't quite remember.
Yeah, like
I know it's
for
a lot.
Regional. I should say.
Yeah, no, that is for a regional. It's like 7 or 8. It's like
I was I'm sure like ICs and stuff are probably larger, but
yeah. But they also explained how like invites are going to work. So we understand from back before, regional winners get invites automatic to Worlds. Finalists for ICs get automatic invites for Worlds,
which I think is fantastic.
So what that does is you have 21 automatic invites throughout all the regionals, and then you have another 6 on top of that. So you have 27 automatic invites handed out via the ICs and regional championships, which is good. In my opinion, I think that's good. Which it doesn't mean anything either if you go and you look at it, because what was the qualifying for Worlds this year for NA? What is it?
Off the top of my head, I don't know. Was it 500? 400?
I think it was 600. No, that was TCG. 600 was TCG.
I'm gonna say 600 sounds high.
That's TCG.
Requirement. Come on, Google, give me something good here. Give me something. VGC. No, I want. How many points do I need to qualify for Worlds?
It's 500 for VGC Masters in the US.
Is that now, or is that what it was?
That is what it is. That is what it is now.
Which they made it harder, right?
That is harder.
Yeah, so, that's what I'm saying. Is it was 400 or was it 500, and then they just cut back how many points you can earn? That's the part I don't remember.
It was 400. This last season was 300 because they cut us short because we didn't have 4 events. And then this next season it's 500. So ICs pay out 500 and 400. So first place is guaranteed an invite anyway. Just even with points. Why? Why? They need to go back and look at their math.
Sure.
Like, I understand, like, you want that in the rules for the TCG because the TCG is 600. But TCG also has a multitude of extra ways to get points because TCG is much easier to set up and run than it is to set up a VGC event. And so it's just like you put the automatic invites in there, but then you give them that many points for a win. Like, yeah, I get it's an accomplishment, but it's just like you could have spread the points out into other, like, into regionals and stuff too at that point. But whatever. It just feels weird. It's like, yeah, automatic invites, but these people aren't going to care because they just get all their points anyway, and they already have their invite. So the automatic invite for first place VGC doesn't matter because, hey, you got it through points. Cool.
Huh.
They also adjusted travel awards, I believe.
Oh, I haven't heard this.
So TCG and VGC players eligible in each rating zone can qualify for a travel award by finishing top 4 for point championships during certain, like, blocks towards the ICs. So if you are top 4 in championship points at the certain threshold before an IC, you'll get a travel award bonus to go to that IC. If it's in your region, it's $2,000 if you're above 18. If it's out of region, it's $3,500. And this is for adults because obviously we're all mostly master players here. If you are a senior or junior, you get $2,500 and $5,000 because parents and all that jazz.
Players who finish 5th through 16th in the Pokemon TCG or 5th through 8th in VGC are eligible to earn a $1,000 travel stipend paid after the event and subject to them attending and competing at least one round of play in the main event.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's usually that's the kicker rule for all the stipends is they're always paid after. So
interesting. Okay.
The travel award system is there for the people who are grinding, the people who are going to multiple events and trying to finish high every season and do that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Which, that's cool. Again, it kind of de-incentivizes the auto invites because people are going to be going to more events to just get points because they want to get these travel stipends for ICs and stuff like that.
Yep.
But that's its own can of worms I don't want to deal with. But There was a lot of changes to the IC system, and they're mostly good. Like I'm not gonna say that all of these are like bad, like the regional stuff was. I haven't seen a bad thing yet about this any of these IC changes. Um, if I did my math correctly, LAIC will be Regulation E, I believe, because that starts in September and runs through the will probably run through the end of November.
We don't know that for sure, but that should be right?
Yeah, that's kind of just I'm just following the pattern they've been doing for the last however many seasons. The EUIC is going to be in London this year, April 5th through the 7th in 2024. And then the big news here is we are no longer in Columbus. We are no longer going to Ohio for our NAIC. We will be in New Orleans this year, this season.
All right, I'm looking now just for my sake.
June 7th through the 9th.
Let's see. Can I book a flight out that far in advance?
You can. 100%.
Let's see. So we'll leave. We'll leave the 6th. Why not? And we'll come
probably
back.
Leave the evening of the 6th. Get there night of like early morning of the 7th if you really want to, or you could leave at like 8 p.m. and then get there at 10 p.m. What's great is it's all the same time zone for us.
True. That is
no
that is
jet
very
lag.
True.
That's a big bonus. The last I was looking, I saw flights for like $340.
Let's see. $354 is the cheapest I'm seeing. From Kansas City to, let's see, where you have one stop. It's Kansas City to Dallas Fort DFW, then down to
Usually there's because I don't think Kansas City goes straight to New Orleans. It's easier for them to go to Dallas Fort Worth and then Dallas Fort Worth to New Orleans.
Where's you could do KCI to Charlotte. And
God,
honestly,
no.
It's $1 cheaper.
That ain't worth it. No.
And it's not it's only a 50-minute difference.
If you tell me like it was $100 difference, sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But
like $1, nah, I'll just go to Texas. It'll be fine.
Let's see. I need to change that to 2 passengers. Okay, so that's not terrible. They're both evening flights.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like I said, you'd want to leave the evening of the 6th and then get in your hotel, check in. That way you'd be there Friday morning to do whatever.
Yeah, 7:10 for 2 flights is not terrible.
So does that mean we're going to NAIC?
No, absolutely not. I make no promises.
We'll find out later. Is that what I'm hearing? We'll find out later.
I mentioned to Tiff, I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? She's like, yeah, that sounds cool. And that was like the end of the conversation. Because here's the thing. I'm also trying to plan and pay for a wedding next year. So
you'll have like 4 months after that. After it's done, you'll be fine.
And not really. It's like 3, but who's counting?
It's fine.
Who's counting?
I might go. We'll see. We'll have to talk to Kayla and see if I can figure out a way to go if I do get to go. But New Orleans is a place I've always wanted to go to, and I think it'd be a lot of fun to go down there. It gives me an excuse, I guess, to go down there and travel. Instead of just like, I want to. Like, oh, I'm going for Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
And then just play the first round, drop, and then go experience New Orleans. Deal. Sign me up. So, yeah. What else do you want to talk about today? We still got like 30 minutes.
So we could talk about your new addiction to the TCG.
I wouldn't call it addiction. It's just like I'm playing Lost Box because I like Lost Box.
You know, that's fair. Lost Box is a one of the decks of all time.
I'm about to say I've heard it's like really good. I'm just like, yeah, I just want to play it because it's like it fits the play patterns I like. And
I mean, dude, that's like
I still play Unite more than I play the TCG. I literally opened the TCG to play my daily, and then I'm done.
I have stolen Smeargol's Jump Left deck. I'm currently 2-0 with it. Take that with what you will. The first game I won because neither myself nor my opponent ever saw a second Pokemon, but I drew an energy.
There you go.
So
I get a lot of wins that way.
Yeah, Hobbit was able to get there and punch down a Magnemite, which I don't know. My opponent was playing that they had a Magnemite, but
Magnezone, I don't know.
Yeah, the question is like, what is Magnezone doing?
It's hitting things. I don't know. But yeah, I've just been playing Lost Box when I'm not playing Unite. We have the new Pokemon we got announced on the 22nd.
Oh yeah, dude, I completely forgot about that because that feels like 7 months ago at this point.
Right? Poltergeist. So this is a new Pokemon that they revealed through a really cool trailer. It was like a old Japanese story trailer kind of thing. It was like art was great and fantastic. I really enjoyed watching it. We kind of knew this was coming though, because at Worlds they had a whole tea ceremony and they handed out these special kits to a lot of just like content creators and stuff. So we kind of knew that there was some kind of tea Pokemon happening, and Poltegeist and Sinistea are like the only actual tea Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
But Poltergeist is going to be a grass and ghost type. This is, I guess the way this is going to work is this is going to be a convergent form of Sinistea, not Poltegeist.
I hate how close these names are.
So,
I look up Poltergeist and all that comes up is, do you mean Poltegeist? I'm like, no.
Well, so here's the thing, because Poltergeist doesn't have a wiki page yet.
Which, yeah, sure.
So it's like, oh, did you mean this? Because this is where this is. Like, here is this, because this is like your search history stuff. But like, the minute you tell it, it's like, no, I meant Poltergeist. Poltergeist pops up. So the canon in my head is Poltergeist inspired the name for Poltegeist.
Oh, obviously.
Like,
right?
That's the canon in my head. It's just like, Sinistea wasn't a known Pokemon, but they saw Poltegeist and they saw Poltergeist, and that's kind of where the name come from. But this thing's really cool. Grass and Ghost, very good typing. We've seen things like Pumpkaboo do really well, and Gourgeist, Trevenant, all those. Grass and Ghost is just such a nice typing because Ghost actually removes a lot of the weaknesses from Grass. Like, it's actually helpful.
Yeah, it's not bad. It is not bad. Yeah, like you were saying, you do remove a lot of your weaknesses. They pair well together type wise, but overall, it's interesting. I'm really hoping that we get some kind of evolution.
We might. We might not. I'm not sure yet.
I don't know, man. It seems like not enough.
It depends, right? So
if you look at it, its design is based off of like the gourd that you would drink matcha out of, right? So, like, in that sense, it is the same thing as like the teacup that you drink tea out of. No.
So you don't know what this. So this is the matcha. This is what you hold your matcha in. to keep the moisture out.
So it's just the jar of matcha, not the actual
yes. No, this is not anything related to the actual tea drinking, like drinking of tea. This is where you hold your tea. So
I hate it. I'm so confused.
That's why it's called the matcha Pokemon, not the tea Pokemon, right? Like, it's called the matcha Pokemon because it's the matcha powder is in this jar. There is a lot of moving parts in a proper Japanese tea ceremony. A ton of moving
I'm uncultured,
parts.
So I don't know these things.
Did you watch any of the reveal trailer at all?
So I put it on and went fast forward. All right, Pokemon, cool.
And so you missed the entire actual lore of it. So that's why you're confused. Work. That's your problem, not ours. You're supposed to watch it when you're not at work.
I didn't watch it.
Well, that's why you have no idea what's going on. So Poltergeist is cool. Instead of being a vengeful ghost like most ghosts are, it's kind of more into the restoring and healing and fixing things. Apparently, lore-wise, it lives in old houses and may patch up broken tableware. And its ability kind of reflects that in hospitality. On Switch In, it heals for a small amount of HP. We're kind of speculating that it's probably 1/6 or 1/8, somewhere in that range, which isn't a lot, but if you're pivoting a lot, doing a lot of switches, that is something that can add up pretty quick. We don't actually see exact numbers, so we don't have exact numbers, but looking through the keywords of some, that usually means it's in the 1/8 to 1/6 range.
Which, I mean, that's a non-zero amount of recovery, right? That's really good.
It's significant, right? It's significant for certain things, especially if you're doing a lot of pivoting in and out.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll have to see. Like I said, this thing might evolve. It might not. We don't know yet. If it isn't something that evolves, maybe it has decent stat. You could slap an Eviolite on it, little cup it up, D-Peck, whatever. Could be cool. If it doesn't evolve, and this is just a one-of Pokemon kind of thing, the stats are probably going to be higher than Sinistea, which could be really good. It's interesting because this is a Pokemon made for doubles.
Mm-hmm.
Usually it's the other way around. Everything's designed around singles. This is a Pokemon with an ability specifically for doubles. And multi-battle, I guess, if you want to consider that.
Interesting. I mean, the ability is really cool, right? It obviously sucks for singles players where they're just this has no ability.
I'm sure it'll have a different... maybe it might have a second ability.
Obviously, right? Why wouldn't it have some kind of hidden ability or something? I was scrolling through YouTube Shorts, as I do.
Yeah.
And Pokeaim put out a thing about this, saying that, in the trailer, it puts people to sleep, so there's a non-zero chance it has access to sleep powder and or spore.
I would not be surprised if it's sleep powder. Yeah.
I'd be very surprised if it's spore. But if it also has access to something like Shell Smash, like Poltergeist does, sleep powder plus spore sleep powder plus Shell Smash is really cool as a singles type Pokemon because that's not something that exists off the top of my head. So it's
no, I can't think of one.
Let me just pull up Showdown and do a quick search. I like I said, I can't think of any.
I'm sitting here trying to rack my brain on Shell Smash Pokemon, and none of them are ever grass type. But yeah, you don't even think about it. You don't even think about it. Just it might have access to sleep powder. It is a grass type. Mm-hmm. So it could have access to sleep powder. It could be spore. I'd be very surprised if it's spore, but it'll also probably have access to hypnosis if it doesn't have access to any of that, which isn't great, but still there. This could also have access to...
even going national decks, there are 0 Pokemon that have Sleep Powder's Shell Smash. So like, if that exists, that's really freaking cool.
It's super niche for this thing. It'll probably have access to the standard ghost stuff: Will-O-Wisp, Hex, Nightshade, Shadow Ball. I would be remiss if it didn't have access to all that stuff. A Pokemon with access to Sleep Powder and Will-O-Wisp would be really, really cool.
Yeah, like, I mean, you get around like the grass immunities by just like burning them. I'm sure, obviously you have your Terra type thing where you can actually like threaten grass types as well, like grass types swapping in on your Sleep Powder or whatever you can threaten. The big thing is like, what kind of bulk are we dealing with on this thing?
And that's where
my first thought is based on design, it does not look like a bulky Pokemon.
No, these. I'm gonna look up Poltegeist real quick, and I want to see its base stats.
Oh, it's bad. It is 60, 65, 65, 134, 114, 70.
You say that it's bad. It's not that bad.
60, 65 is pretty bad.
Yeah,
114 is also, not bad.
114 is pretty good.
I didn't realize they had 134 special attack.
Oh yeah, no, their special attack's really high on this guy.
Yeah, did not realize that.
So I could see something like a decent stat line kind of similar to this. A little, maybe they designed it with less attack and put more into defense. I'm not sure.
Yeah, who knows? Like,
it could be faster. It could be significantly faster than Poltegeist. We don't know.
It could be less special attack, more defense. Like, I mean, who knows?
It'd be interesting if it's just like a bulky status healing kind of Pokemon. Isn't looking to actually deal damage, but just is looking to heal up and stall out games. Maybe it'd be interesting.
I think if this thing has like a good speed stat and like the idea behind it being a Pokemon that is built around like healing your partner, I think I have a feeling it might have like some signature attack as well that we don't know about yet, where it's like or have it access to have something like Life Dew, where it's just like its whole goal is to keep its partner alive. Mm-hmm. I think that's really interesting and a very cool idea behind it. The big question is does it have the bulk to back it up, or is it just like, is it going to be just too frail Cleffa?
Like, or is it just too frail to do anything? Yeah. Like I said, if this thing evolves and it has decent stats, like an Eviolite Poltegeist might actually be like decent compared to like an evolved form of something. Yeah. But yeah, there's still a lot we don't know about this Pokemon. We do know that it's like they're specifically leaning towards it being a convergent form of Sinistea, so it could have its own evolution. So we'll have to see when the game comes out. We got what? Is it 2 weeks from now? 3 weeks from now? 3 weeks. So we got. It comes out on the 13th, so we got the 30th, and then the 6th, and then the 13th. So that's like 3 weeks and 2 weeks in a day, 2 days or something.
You said the 13th?
13th, yeah. Comes out on a Wednesday, which is weird.
That is really weird. I won't be able to play till Thursday afternoon.
I'll be able to play it. Wednesday's my normal day off.
Yeah, I don't know what that's like. Anymore, at least.
So yeah, it'd be 15 days till it comes out. As of the upload of this episode, 15 days. Not bad.
Yeah, sure, man. We'll figure it out then. I'm very excited to see the story behind the DLC, everything related to it. I'm very excited for. So
if I could find the list of returning Pokemon, I might
Didn't we already do stuff about that?
We did all of it. I want to try to find the list of just the teal mask. I want to see what's coming in just, if I can find just the teal mask, what's coming. If we can find that a little early, we might do something with that. But because, like we said, we knew, like, when we did it before, it's like, oh, Incineroar's coming and this and that's coming. Well, the Incineroar stuff's not until the last half of the DLC. So we're trying to maybe get ahead of Regulation E and kind of see, like, oh, this is the Pokemon that are coming in the teal mask. This is what we'll have access to and stuff like that.
Ow.
Ow. Why are you breaking stuff over there?
Oh, it was my knuckles. I didn't need them.
So, yeah. I think that's all the big Pokemon news up until now.
I think so.
I can't think of anything else that's new or exciting. We might be doing a fantasy football league if that gets started anytime soon.
Yeah, Angelo and I are in the process of trying to get stuff set up, but I'm not sure. I was supposed to have a draft tonight, but that hasn't happened yet.
I was about to ask if that was going on yet, because I was like, I'm going to be telling Carter who to pick in the middle of the podcast episode.
let me see. As of last night when I joined, we were still missing 5 people.
Oh.
And now we are missing 5 people.
The same amount. Good to know. So yeah, I guess next week will probably be, if I can find it, maybe a look at Regulation E, because we might have the rules announced by then.
That's very true. That is very, very true.
Regulation D ends at the end of September, and usually that first week of that new month, or that month before when the season ends, is when they put the new rules out. So we might have new rules come time to record for the podcast.
Interesting. Then
Maybe.
I guess
we'll see.
We will find out next week then.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll keep our ears glued and figure out some stuff to talk about. I know my last week, or whatever it is, the week of the 11th, that episode, that's my currently planned, I think, last week. And that'll be Pittsburgh. That'll be Pittsburgh talk about.
Post-Pittsburgh or pre-Pittsburgh?
It'll be, because we record on Sunday, it'll be post-Pittsburgh.
Gotcha.
Unless you want to record pre-Pittsburgh and try to figure out Regulation D.
Dude, I'm trying to figure out Regulation D now.
Oh yeah, you're playing in Bauerdat's thing, aren't you?
I am. Which my entire group, I'm just like, they're like, hey, do you have anything you want to play? I'm like, nope. Like, oh, here's some stuff. I'm like, all right, so here's the thing. These teams are good, so
so you should play them.
They look so boring, though, man. It's just like, here's Urshifu, Fluttermane, Lando. And then I look at the next one, and it's just like 4 of the same mods. I'm just like, these all look so boring to play.
That might be what we do next week, then. We might talk about what happened, why Regulation D being the world's only format was a bad thing.
We could do... We haven't brewed a team on the podcast in a while. We might do that.
We got ideas flowing, folks. We'll have something else to do for you next week.
Oh, yeah, they sent me a hard Trick Room team. I'm like, oh, I'm so off this.
Trick Room's so bad. I'm sorry.
Like, it doesn't even have Cress on it. It's in DD Hat Armor Rouge. I'm just like,
oh
no.
God. Like, I understand, like, people playing in DD Rouge, like, that's fine. Like, in DD Hat Armor Rouge, I'm just hard pass.
So then the other teams they sent me were Lando, Urshifu. Let's see. Both have Lando, Urshifu. I guess that's actually... Oh, Amoonguss. Lando, Urshifu, Amoonguss cores. And then your supporting cast is different. Oh, wait, no. They both have Chien Pao. Okay, yeah. These teams...
I mean, you can't play Urshifu without Jianpao anymore. That's just kind of the rule.
So it's like, do you want Golden Go or Fluttermane? And then do you want Tornadus or Iron Hands? I'm like, yeah, these teams suck. I like, obviously they're very good, right? Like there's a reason that like they're recommending them, but man, it's just not. It's not me.
We'll figure something out.
Yeah, we have plenty of time. I have until sometime this week to figure something out. So
Yeah, we got time.
But
so yeah, I think that's it.
All right, where are we at time-wise? Just under an hour? Yeah, quick and easy one this week.
It's fine. We'll be fine.
Yeah, quick and easy. So, as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe if you're listening over on YouTube. If you're listening on any of the audio-only platforms, make sure you leave us a like, leave us a 5-star review, subscribe, all that good stuff. Help push our stuff against the algorithm because it really does help us out. If you are interested in following us and connecting with us on social media, you can do so over on X. That is at LR Lessons, myself at Mr. Missouri 25, Carl's at Musical VGC. Carl and I are both on Twitch as well. He's more active than I am, and that's saying something.
I'm about to say, like, active is a strong word.
You can find me at Mr. Missouri 25, Carl's at Musical. But where we actually are active is Discord. You can always join our community Discord down in the show notes. It's a happening place where there's a lot of things going on at all hours of the day, it seems like. So if you are interested...
Draft League's finishing soon.
True. We start Top Cut this week, right?
Should be this week. Should be starting on Tuesday.
So like 4 weeks or 3 weeks and we're done?
Yeah, 3 weeks and we're done. 3 weeks.
Cool. So...
congrats
to everyone who made the Top Cut. I did not, so
most of them are locked up. We can shout them out real quick if you want to.
Yeah, sure. You got the list. Read them.
Congrats to Ale, Katie, Esquire, Cable out of the Kanto group. Congrats to Wim and Captain Aro and Jude for sure out of the Johto group. We're still waiting on one match in that one to determine breakers and such. Congrats to Yanocan, Lloyd, Swede, and Roundloo out of the Hoenn group. And then congrats to Splash, Stacks, Niels out of the Sinnoh group. And we're waiting for one more result out of that one. So there's 2 matches that are going to really affect like both Johto and Sinnoh standings. And so we gotta kind of have to wait on them before we can add the last 2 members.
Interesting.
And that's it.
Well, congrats to all of them. I'm very excited to see how this plays out. We went from 48 players?
64 players.
Oh yeah, that makes more sense. Down to 16. So now it comes down to cutting that down to 1.
Yep.
So yeah, congrats to all of them. Looking forward to seeing how that plays out and going from there. So past that, you can check out the website at lrlessons.com. The merch page is over there as well. And, I want to give a shout out to our $10 and up patrons that are, excuse me, hold on. I want to give a shout out to our $10 and up patrons over on patreon.com. That is Papa Swish and Johnny Bravo Sr. and Smeargle over on Discord as well, because we have Discord subscriptions if that is something that you're interested in. So that is going to be it for this week, everyone. Thank you so much, and until next week, have a good one. Peace.